Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation reads like this. When I moved into my new apartment, I was excited for a fresh start. I had just gotten a good job, and the place felt like a step up in my life. It was not anything fancy as such, but it was clean, very peaceful, and most importantly, mine. I was thrilled to finally be living independently, with no one telling me what to do. That was when I met my neighbor. She seemed like the perfect welcoming friend that I needed in this new place. Older, always smiling, with this warmth about her that made me feel at ease. From the very beginning, she made me feel like I was family. She would bring me over tea, small snacks, even little plants to brighten up my apartment. She would say, "My child, a home without a plant is no life." I would laugh, not giving it much thought, just glad that I had someone looking out for me. Every time that I would come home from work, she would wave at me from her window, asking me how my day was. We would chat about everything from work drama to my plans for the future. I felt lucky how many people could have such a kind and a caring neighbor. But as months went by, things started to feel different. I could not put my finger on it at first. It was like my life began to unravel in little ways. I would lose things constantly, my keys, small items like jewelry, even important documents. At first, I blamed myself, thinking that I was just being careless. But all of a sudden, when I would ask her, then when I would return back to my apartment, I will see that the things will be there, as if there was something magical that would have happened. And I said maybe I was the one who was losing her mind. It was happening so often, so much that I thought that I was losing my mind. Then there were my relationships. Suddenly I was arguing with friends and family over the smallest things, misunderstandings that were not even relevant at all. But now I was having constant disagreements with the guys that I was dating. I became someone who could be irritated at any given time. Even one guy said, "You are like a ticking bomb that can explode at any given time." Like something heavy was pressing on my chest all the time, making me to fight with anyone. My friends would say, "What have gotten into you?" And honestly, I did not even have an answer. It was like this dark cloud had settled over my life, affecting everything that I would touch. Around this time, that was when her kindness seemed to increase. She would bring me food, soups, stews, and tea that she insisted that I needed to drink. She would say that it was to help calm my spirit, to keep me grounded. At first, I was grateful, thinking that she was just but being a caring friend. But the more that I drank, the stranger that I felt. I'd feel dizzy, disorientated, almost like I was in a daze. My sleep was restless, filled with strange dreams of dark shadows and whispered voices. One day I was coming home from work exhausted and barely able to keep my eyes wide open. That was when as I walked up into my door, I saw her standing there, sprinkling something on the floor near the entrance. She looked up, startled. She was scared, quickly brushing her hands off, smiling like nothing had happened. I asked her, I said, "What are you doing?" And she laughed it off and said that it was a blessing that she had brought into my home with herbs for protection. She said, "You can never be too safe, my dear." Something about her smile made her to look so evil, even though she was trying to tell me that what I had caught her doing, it was nothing but good for me. She convinced me and said that since you have been fighting a lot with the men that you keep on bringing to this place, I have thought of helping you out. Since you are a Christian, maybe you were not going to agree to use these charms that I was given by my mother. That night I could not sleep. I kept on having sleep paralysis. My mind kept on replaying the image of her at my door, sprinkling something on the floor. I could not shake the feeling that there was more to her kindness than I had realized. I decided to ask one of my other neighbors about her, just to see if I was imagining things. When I brought it up, my neighbor's face changed. She pulled me aside, lowered her voice and said, "Be careful of him, because a lot of people in this complex have been saying that she works with Muti a lot. My heart sank. She went on to tell me that others had noticed strange things after being friends with her, like you can start to lose your relationships, unexplained bad luck, illnesses that no doctor can explain. And I said, oh, that is why I kept on feeling so weak. I felt like my world was collapsing, and even all the food that she was giving me, she had done it to some of the women that had came and stayed at that complex. There was one who had even died. I started connecting the dots, and when I went to bed that night, the most mysterious dream that I had ever had in my life, I saw myself. I was at my own funeral. It was the most scariest thing that had ever happened to me. And whilst I was at my funeral, guess who was leading the whole proceeding? It was that same woman. She was the one who was controlling everyone. Even when my mom was crying, saying that my daughter cannot go now, for it is not her time. And when my mom tried to walk to the place where my coffin was at, then this woman, she turned into a creature that I could not even understand. And then I woke up. When I woke up, Brother Nashi, I just heard a simple voice that told me to pray. It was just a small voice that was telling me to pray. And then I started praying. When I started praying, the strangest thing ever happened. All of a sudden, I saw that there was a bed that appeared in my bedroom. Where this bed came from, I don't even know. This bed flew and flew whilst I was praying. Now I was praying violently and loudly because first of all, I was really scared and I was shouting. And then I had a knock on the door. It was the same woman asking me if I was okay. I then kept on praying and I ignored her. Then she went back to her room and she just started screaming. I don't know why she was screaming. And after that, when I had finished praying, I then heard a voice that told me to read my Bible. I looked for my Bible. I could not even find it. I ended up downloading a Bible on my phone. Since that day, I always make sure that in my handbag, I always have my Bible. I just want to thank God that He rescued me from my neighbor who had been bewitching me. I told my mom, and then she came with people from church that same evening, and we held an all-night prayer. We prayed throughout the night, and this woman, you won't even believe it, I don't know where she went to for the next 2 weeks. When she came back, even up until this day, she does not speak with me. I was the only one that she was communicating with on this complex, but now she does not talk with me anymore. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admin who received this message, and that was the translation of that message. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Yo.